Hello and welcome to my channel. In this episode I'll be doing something different and out of my comfort zone. It won't have a motor or wheels, but it was a fun project anyway. I just call it the COVID desk project. If you recall, in 2020 there was something that came around that changed the world overnight, where all of a sudden it was completely normal to be able to go into a store with a mask on and not have to worry about the security guards mowing you down because you look suspicious. When COVID emerged, my wife and I were fortunate enough to work for a large truck manufacturing company, and we were told that it was probably best to work from home, and we did. Our positions required that we had laptops and monitors normally, and I was already set up to work from home. I had to do it anyway for the odd weekend. So we decided to set up shop in our tiny dining room, and we worked across from each other. Well, it didn't take long for us to realize that we just couldn't work that way. We're talking over each other, so I checked around the house, and I decided to move upstairs, and we had an unfinished bonus room on top of our garage, and I set up shop over there, had internet, Wi-Fi, could reach it. But it wasn't finished, and this was in February, and it was quite cold, so I spent a couple of days working with winter jacket on to make it through the day, and working nights and weekends, and eventually I did also partition off a section, made an office, and had heat and air conditioning when This is a budget build like the rest of my projects. I try to keep it within a price range as much as I can. The desktop was made from trees we had cut down years ago, and I decided to slab them to do this job. So I got a Alaskan chainsaw mill through the internet, which wasn't too bad, about $100, maybe a bit more. And I used my Poulon Pro 260 that has a 18-inch blade, but that's not enough to do the trees that I had. It was too short once I put it on the chainsaw mill. So what I did is I got a 24-inch bar and chain to do this, and once mounted on the chainsaw mill, it gave me a full 18 inches, maybe 19 inches of full cutting capacity, so that's what I used. It worked pretty well. I did discover that this has put quite a load on the chainsaw. It was low in horsepower to start with, according to what I see on the internet, what's recommended. So it tended to heat a little bit and stopped working very well. I just learned to just do a little bit and then maybe one slab, shut it off, let it cool down, and continue on that way. It was a long process, but it was still a lot of fun, a lot of work. What I used was a part of a extension ladder to do the first cut on the wood. So I have a flat surface to go by, and the Alaskan chainsaw mill has enough extension to allow this. You make sure it's straight and no twist to it. This is the most important cut, because after that the other cuts are based on that first cut, where you don't need the ladder anymore. You just use the previous cut as a guide, and you end up with a pretty much good pile of wood for the trees that you cut down and something to work with. And after you're done slabbing, this is what you get. You get a pile of wood drying out over here. It's pretty much protected and waiting for the next projects. For the shaping and planing of the slab afterwards, I built this router sled. It's just 3/4 inch MDF and two pine boards that are 1x6s. Screwed them together, put them on. I actually used sawhorses. Right now it's on my workmates. And the actual sled itself is just 2.5 inch angle irons that I got at a local hardware store, and the slide I used vinyl from a blinds that we took down a couple years ago, and with my router, which it's a 1 3/4 horse router, and they used a mortising bit, a 3/4 inch mortising bit, to do the slabbing. It worked pretty good. It was slow, messy, extremely messy, and but it turned out pretty good. For joining the boards, I don't have a planer, I don't have a joiner, so I had to be creative with my not my skill saw, my little portable table saw. It worked pretty good. I just used a straight edge and used it, screwed it to the board when time came, and used it as a guide. And didn't require a whole lot of finishing to make the two pieces mate together correctly. So that's about it. And I guess we'll go through the build with a lot of video, which is probably better than the slideshow, I guess. So here it goes. And now it's time for the metal work, so I feel a little bit more confident with metal work compared to woodworking. But this is fun. Now the shop requires a real deep clean because there's dust everywhere, and that could take me a week or so. That was a desktop part. Next is the legs. Again, it was budget build, and I didn't buy a lot of metal. The metal used for this particular project was from a treadmill that had failed on me a number of years ago. Something went wrong with it. It was going too slow or something. In the process of diagnosing it, I crossed two wires, and that led to magic smoke out of the computer. So that was it for that. So rather than fiddling with it anymore and trying to repair it, I decided to just part it out and get another one. And I was lucky enough that some friends let me have theirs they weren't using anymore. So that's where the metal came from, other than a couple pieces of flat bar that I used to make a little scroll thing, make it fancy a little bit. Otherwise, it was all stuff I had laying around the shop here. So I think it turned out okay, and she's using her desk now, so I guess it's good. I hope you like this video, and that's it for this COVID desk project. I hope to be able to do something similar down the road. Don't know what, but we'll find something. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Now let's go build something.